The knock came just after sunset, when the quiet street had already begun to sink into evening shadows. Nathan Brooks had just finished washing the last plate from dinner when he heard it was slow, firm, deliberate. It wasn't the kind of knock neighbors made. It was the kind that carried weight, the kind that made your heart hesitate for a second before answering. When Nathan opened the door, he found a woman standing there in a charcoal coat, her posture calm but commanding. Parked behind her was a sleek black car that clearly didn't belong anywhere near their modest neighborhood in Columbus, Ohio. The woman's eyes were steady as she looked at him, and the first thing she said made his breath stop. "Your mom gave me this address." Nathan froze in the doorway, confusion mixing with something deeper, something painful and long buried. His mother had passed away almost 2 years ago. Since then, life had been nothing but a quiet storm of responsibility. A single father raising his 8-year-old son Caleb, working double shifts as a mechanic, barely keeping the lights on in their small rented home. No one had mentioned his mother in a long time. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the mysterious ways life can change in a moment, take a second to like this video, comment where you're watching from, share it with someone who believes in hope, and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this remind us that sometimes the smallest acts of love echo the loudest. Nathan studied the woman carefully. She looked to be in her early 40s, elegant in a way that didn't feel flashy but powerful. Her name, she later explained, was Victoria Hale. And Victoria Hale was not just anyone. She was one of the most successful entrepreneurs in the country, the billionaire founder of a nationwide healthcare technology company headquartered in Chicago. But standing there on Nathan's front porch, she looked less like a powerful CEO and more like someone carrying a memory that had waited a long time to be delivered. Nathan eventually stepped aside and let her in. The house was small, humble, and clearly worn by years of careful budgeting. The couch had a stitched tear along one side. Caleb's school drawings covered the refrigerator door like colorful badges of pride. A faint smell of laundry detergent lingered in the air. Victoria noticed everything, not with judgment, with quiet respect. She sat at the kitchen table while Nathan made coffee he wasn't sure he could afford to waste. For a moment, neither spoke. Then she slowly pulled a folded envelope from her purse. Before handing it over, she told Nathan something that turned the room completely silent. Nearly 15 years earlier, when Victoria was just a struggling college student in Cleveland, she had been homeless for 3 nights. 3 nights sleeping in her car in freezing weather. 3 nights when she thought her future had already collapsed before it even began. And on the 4th day, she met Nathan's mother, Margaret Brooks. Margaret had been volunteering at a church outreach center that provided meals and temporary shelter. But what she gave Victoria wasn't just a warm meal or a place to sleep. She gave her belief. Victoria explained that Margaret had listened to her dreams, her fears, her frustration about failing a business class she desperately needed to pass. Instead of seeing a desperate young woman, Margaret had looked at her like someone who still had a future worth fighting for. For 2 weeks, Margaret helped Victoria get back on her feet. She drove her to job interviews. She helped her prepare for exams. She even gave her bus fare when Victoria had nothing left, and before they parted ways, Margaret wrote something on a small piece of paper, an address. Nathan's address. Margaret had told her something Victoria never forgot. If you ever become the woman you hope to be, and if life blesses you more than you need, come find my son one day. He's the kind of man who would never ask for help, even if he deserved it. Victoria looked around the small kitchen again. "I've spent years trying to find you," she admitted quietly. Nathan didn't know what to say. His mother had never told him any of this. He had known she volunteered, that she helped people whenever she could, but he had never realized how deeply those moments had touched someone's life. Victoria finally slid the envelope across the table. Inside was a handwritten letter, Margaret's handwriting. Nathan felt his chest tighten as he read the words his mother had written years before her passing. She wrote about kindness, about quiet strength, about how proud she was of the father Nathan had become. She also wrote something else. She wrote that one day Nathan might feel like life had closed too many doors, but she believed someone, somewhere, would remember the kindness of their family, and that kindness would find its way back. Nathan wiped his eyes quickly, embarrassed by the sudden emotion. But Victoria didn't look away, because she understood. Then she told him why she had come tonight. Victoria's company had recently started a new program designed to help struggling families with stable housing, education, and employment opportunities. But this wasn't just charity. It was something more personal. She had created the entire program in Margaret's name, and Nathan was the first person she wanted involved, not as a recipient, as a partner. Victoria had learned about Nathan's work as a mechanic, about the long hours he spent supporting Caleb, and the quiet reputation he had built in the community helping neighbors fix cars for little or no pay. She believed someone like him understood the kind of compassion the program needed. She offered him a leadership role in the new initiative, a position that would allow him to help families across Ohio who were going through the same struggles he had faced. Nathan sat there in disbelief. He had spent years just trying to survive. Now someone was asking him to help lead something bigger than himself. But what affected him most wasn't the opportunity. It was knowing that the seed for all of this had been planted years ago by his mother, through a simple act of kindness toward a stranger. Before the night ended, Caleb wandered into the kitchen, rubbing sleep from his eyes. When Victoria introduced herself, the boy looked up at his father with curiosity. Nathan placed a gentle hand on Caleb's shoulder and explained something he had only just learned himself. "That lady out there," he said softly, pointing toward the car outside, "is proof that your grandma's kindness changed the world." Victoria smiled warmly at the boy. And in that moment, the story felt bigger than any one person. It felt like a circle finally closing. Months later, the Margaret Brooks Community Initiative officially launched in Columbus. Nathan helped design programs that supported single parents with job training, child care assistance, and housing stability. Families who had once felt invisible finally had someone fighting for them. And every time Nathan walked into the program's office, he saw a framed photo on the wall, his mother. Beneath it was a simple line engraved in silver letters. "One act of kindness can echo for generations." If this story touched your heart even a little, please take a moment to like the video, share it with someone who believes kindness still matters, and subscribe to the channel for more stories that remind us of the good in the world. And before the story ends, I have a small request. In the comments, write the word kindness, because sometimes that one word is powerful enough to change a life. Nathan would later say that the night Victoria Hale knocked on his door wasn't the moment his life changed. It was the moment he realized his mother's kindness had been quietly changing lives for years. And somewhere out there tonight, another door might be opening, because someone chose compassion when it mattered most.